Hello everyone, my name is Luke Müller. I'm a solution and product manager working in our development department here at SAP. And I'm going to present you the fixed asset solution in SAP Business One 9.0. And for today's session, I will give you first a short overview about the fixed asset in general, then how to set up the fixed asset solution, how the fixed asset solution will look like in our application, and then at the end I will give you a short product demo. For the fixed asset overview, I just want to give you the definition of what a fixed asset is. And fixed asset is a long-term tangible piece of property that a company owns and or leases, and which will be used in the production of its income, and it's not expected to be consumed or converted into cash any sooner than at least 1 year's time. Fixed assets can be intangible assets as well. Fixed asset can be referred as property, plant, and equipment. And fixed assets are the second most important part of the company right after the people. Also very important is the depreciation, and depreciation is decline in value of an asset due to its use and allocation of the cost of tangible assets to periods in which the assets are used. Asset in SAP Business One 9.0, the enhancement is that it's an integrated, comprehensive fixed asset solution for end-to-end processes, ability to handle different accounting areas, for example, local accounting practices and IFRS in parallel, flexible depreciation calculation defined to meet local requirements, international accounting standards. There's an authorization concept and a new fixed asset master data structure. The benefit is enhanced capabilities in the fixed asset management, allows customer-specific enhancements, meets cross-localization accounting standards, and leverages existing Business One processes such as the procurement process. Now we are coming to the fixed asset setup. The activation of the fixed asset functionality can be activated under Administration, System Initialization, Company Details, and the tab Basic Initialization. Here you will have a tick box Enable Fixed Assets, and after you have enabled the fixed asset solution, you can find fixed asset related menu entries in the following path from the SAP Business One menu. Under Administration, Setup, Financial, Fixed Asset, you will be able to define all necessary settings to use the fixed asset solution. And in the Financial module, under Financial, Fixed Asset, you will have also an own menu for all relevant fixed asset functionality. Then the fixed asset document numbering. The document number for fixed asset functionality will be handled after the merge back with the standard document numbering under Administration, System Initialization, Document Numbering. In the previous solution, we had document numbering directly in the fixed asset solution, but in the new solution, we will handle with the standard numbering setup, and you will find new entries for fixed asset capitalization, capitalization credit notes, fixed asset manual depreciation, revaluation, asset transfer, retirement, and you can set up the series as you are used with all the other documents in Business One. Then the account determination. In SAP Business One, you can define multiple sets of GL accounts. After defining the GL account sets, you can assign them to asset classes and therefore link them to fixed assets. And this can be done under Administration, Setup, Financials, Fixed Assets, Account Determination. And there you define accounts you want to use for instance here for a group for machineries. So every posting which is done for machineries will use this kind of account determination. It's similar to the setup we had already in the previous version in 8.8. But we have also added some new accounts for revaluation reserve and revaluation clearing, and also for revenue clearing, because in the new solution we can also do kind of selling our fixed asset with standard marketing documents, and therefore we need to have some clearing accounts as well. Then we will have our depreciation type set up. And the depreciation type setup, you define basically the calculation method of your depreciation for your fixed asset. And you have the possibility to define, okay, the simplest case is no depreciation, then you simply don't do any depreciation for your fixed asset. But then you have a straight line method. And the straight line method is very straightforward. As you can see here on the calculation tab for straight line calculation, you will simply divide your acquisition value by total useful life, or optional percentage of the acquisition value, or you decide to have the net book value divided by the remaining life. This is how you would set up the calculation for the straight line method. But you can also set up here more things, like you can round yearly end book values. You can say you want to have the depreciation convention, so that means when starts your depreciation for a fixed asset, if it's pro rata temporis, or if it's a first year convention, half year, full year. If it's pro rata temporis, then you define as well, if you want to have it based on an exact daily basis, the first day of the current period, or the first day of the next period. This can be defined here. You can define here as well in the depreciation type the remaining book value. That means you do a depreciation till a certain value. So that means maybe 5,000 will stay on the fixed asset. You don't do depreciation for that. You can also define a maximum depreciation value. That means you have a maximum value, for instance, for 40,000. No matter if your fixed asset costs you 60,000 or 80,000 or 100,000, you will only do a depreciation up to this value of 40,000. You can also have further settings like stop depreciation at the end of the last full year. So it means your depreciation always will stop at the last full year, no matter if it would go till maybe March or April, you will always end your depreciation at the last full year. This can be set here as well. This kind of settings can be done in the depreciation type. I will give you also some of our examples. We have here then also multi-level, or okay, so this is an example for multi-level depreciation type. This is multi-level method. You can view an asset's useful life as several phases, and depreciate the asset by a defined rate for each phase. In this example, we have for the first phase, that means you calculate your acquisition value for the first 2 years with an annual percentage of 2%, and this is your so 2% of the acquisition value will be the value you need to depreciate in the first 2 years. The next phase would be based on the net book value, and this is then for the coming 3 years, and then you are doing only depreciation of 1.5%, and so on and so on. And new for the multi-level depreciation is that in 8.8 we had only 5 phases, but we don't have any limitation here anymore on 9.0, so you can add as many phases as you want to. Another depreciation type, as an example here, is a straight line period control calculation. The straight line period control method will allow to increase the depreciation by a factor to reflect, for example, shift work in a company. It has, from a calculation basis, the same concept as a regular straight line method. So, as I said before, acquisition value divided by total useful life, or percentage of acquisition value, net book value divided by remaining life. But if you have set here a factor by 2, this value will be multiplied by 2, and then you will increase your depreciation value, because you are working in 2 shifts in the company. We have the possibility to set it here as standard, so that means it will be for the entire year. You will have a factor of 2, but you can set it up also individual. So that means you can manage each of your fixed assets individually, and you can set also the periods differently. That means if you have assigned your depreciation type, like here, this it's a linear C, it's for control, and then you to one of your depreciation areas, you mark the line, and then a button will be visible for period control, and then you can actually define for each month your factor. You can even say you don't want to have any depreciation for one of the months, and then you can just untick this month, and then no depreciation will be done. So, and this is an example for let's say a harvester where you can do because harvesting will be done in the summer period and not in winter. So that means you will do for July 2 shifts, maybe for August 3 shifts, because the harvesting machine is working day and night, and so on. And then again, November, December, it will be then just on maintenance. Next part to be set up is the depreciation area setup. It is possible to set up multiple depreciation areas to cover required reporting needs according to local GAAP, IFRS, cost accounting, or a derived area as a reference for the book depreciation. Important to mention is that only one area can be the main depreciation area, because in the standard Business One, we will have only one bookkeeping area that will be then usually local GAAP, and the main depreciation area should be set in the same way as you have in general set for Business One. And you can do here posting to GL account. You can have a type as additional area or derived area. And it is possible to set more than one depreciation area which will create posting. That was also not possible before, but with the new solution in 9.0, you can also create multiple areas which create postings. But as I said before, only one can be defined as a main depreciation area. Then you can define here if you want to do direct or indirect posting, and the setting direct or indirect posting will have influence on the used account and posting scheme. This is an example of different depreciation area setups. Here we have first an example for, let's say, the main depreciation area for your book depreciation, and this has then also set a derived area as reference, and this would be then here the reference as a derived area as a mirror of your book depreciation area, and also to reflect changes if you have done some unplanned depreciation in between, because the derived area will continue with the original basis. And then we have here also set the 200. It's for cost accounting. It's just for reporting purposes. It will not create any postings. It will just reflect the values on a calculation level. And also one additional posting to GL account. In this case, just choose the IFRS, but you can also set another one for US GAAP or whatsoever. There's no limit to create different posting areas here. Okay, the most important part to set up is actually the asset class, because this is, let's say, the part which will default everything in the background later on for your daily work. In SAP Business One, you can define your fixed assets by different classes. In each asset class, you can assign multiple depreciation areas and depreciation methods. By assigning an asset class to an asset, you can link the depreciation areas and methods to the asset. You will find it under Administration, Setup, Financial, Fixed Asset, Asset Class. And there you can define, in this case here, an asset class for machines as a general asset class. And you have then also the possibility to set up, to connect attribute groups to your asset class. I will mention a bit more about that later. And then you define here your depreciation area, what I showed you before on the previous slide. The area for bookkeeping will be assigned first, and will have also an own account determination. So all the accounts in the account determination setup will be here connected to the fixed asset class. You will connect your depreciation type you want to use, and you will have also to set up here the useful life in months. This will be a default for the fixed asset later, because you're doing in general depreciation for fixed assets over 180 months in for the bookkeeping area. And you can then assign as well a few additional areas here as well. For the 400, this is the different area which creates also postings. And here you can see it's in my example here, it's 2004. So this is in a different account determination as we had for the bookkeeping, because it's very important if you use two areas, you need to have different accounts to be posted to avoid double postings on the account. This was the example for the standard or the general asset type, because we have also the possibility to set up asset classes for low value assets. Other than for the general asset type, it will also give you the possibility to set up your value limit from and a value limit to. That means in this example, the value limit from, it's 200, so it must be over 100. If it's below 100, it's usually direct cost and not to be activated as a fixed asset. And the value limit to, it's in this example 410. If you assign this asset class to a fixed asset and you want to do an acquisition, and the acquisition value will be below this value, the system will not allow that and will give you an error message. And this is the same if you try to create an acquisition for a value above this limit. Okay, so now, as I mentioned before, the attribute group setup. This is also something new. In SAP Business One, you can define different groups and attributes for your fixed assets. Under administration, setup, financials, fixed asset attribute groups. If you know the old solution, you might remember that we had 4 user-defined fields in the asset class, but we have now introduced in the new solution the attribute group concept. That means you can define for your asset class an own group. In this case, it's named vehicles. And you can then define an attribute name. You can set here, okay, it's a color, and you cannot give them already a default. So if you create a new fixed asset, this attribute will have already this kind of default, but you can always override it in the fixed asset itself. You have here then another attribute for production date, import date, CO2 emission, the emission class, number of seats, and whatever you like. You can define attributes by text. You can have here also attribute by a field type for date, for a numeric field, amount or price, quantity. It's also available. And with the move up and move down button, you can also move the fields to the right position where you want to have it later on in the fixed asset to be displayed. With assigning this asset group here to the asset class, it will be then visible in the fixed asset master data, and then you can enter your values. Okay, so on the next slide, we are coming now to the fixed asset master data import. So after the fixed asset has been enabled, legacy data can be imported from Microsoft Excel into SAP Business One. And under administration, data import export, then data import, import fixed asset master data from Excel. You can define your own structure, what you want to import. And then you can then also save this as a template, and then you can also upload a file with this structure to Business One. The system copies the asset value from Microsoft Excel sheet to Business One as a starting asset value of the selected fiscal year. So you always import this data at the first of the current fiscal year or the selected fiscal year, but it will always be the 1st of January of this period. So then we come to the data migration from fixed assets add-on. the fixed asset data migration method, with the fixed asset data migration method, you can migrate the following data from fixed asset add-on to SAP Business One. It's the account determination, depreciation areas, depreciation types, asset classes, asset master data. You have then in the wizard the possibility, or let's say you can see it here. It's not a possibility. You see what you will import. You will not have the possibility to select or deselect it. It's more to inform the user what will be actually imported. And then you can decide as well if you want to skip if data already exists in the system, or if you want to override it. Because if you activate it and your system has some defaults, some countries have already defaults in the system. If you don't want to have it, then it will be overridden. And the system is following the same rule as the import from Excel. When migrating the asset master data, the system will copy the asset value at the end of a fiscal year from the add-on to SAP Business One. That means if you do your year-end closing for the year 2012, the system will take this data as a starting date at the 1st of January 2013. So you will not be able to do a migration during the year. It will always be at the end of a fiscal year, because the box needs to be closed, and that we have a clean start with this new solution, because we are also using in the add-on solution a completely different table structure, and then we have also a clear cut, and then it's also then easier for auditing purposes later on in the life cycle. Okay. So next, I will come to the fixed asset application. And I will start with the fixed asset master data. Asset master data is a new window under financials, fixed asset master data. In this window, you define the assets that a company owns. It's very similar to the item master data window, with addition to the fixed asset item type and the fixed asset tabs. So you will have here the same structure as with the item window, but we have here in addition the item type fixed asset. And if we have here the fixed asset as item type, you will see also an additional tab where you will have all the options for fixed asset, like overview, the value, the depreciation development. Then you have your cost accounting setup and also your attributes, what I just showed you before. And you define here the asset classes, because it's mandatory to set an asset class to fixed asset master data. And you can define here then as well the asset group. If you have, let's say, a classification for your fixed assets which is not based on the accounting level, like the asset class. If it's, let's say, a good example would be IT equipment. An IT equipment can be a fixed asset, a general fixed asset, but it can also be a low value asset. So that these are two different asset classes, but this can be combined in one asset group. This would be one example. Or you can also define depreciation groups. You have here, of course, your depreciation types. But if it's for legal purposes that you need to combine certain asset groups for reporting, you can also use here or set up your own depreciation groups. Then you can set up your inventory number, your serial, if there's a serial number. If you have a location for your fixed asset, your technician, your employee can be set up. On the right-hand side in the asset, you will see the values, like the historic APC. This is filled if you import the data, but you can see then also the acquisition and production costs. You have your net book value, your historic net book value, and ordinary depreciation unplanned, and write-ups, salvage value quantity. This is the first overview. The value development will be a bit more clear on the next tab for the values, but this is the first overview on the asset. Then you can define here your asset as statistical asset or session, and you have then here your depreciation parameter for your depreciation area with your depreciation start date, depreciation end date, useful life, and your depreciation type. I will show you that later a bit more in detail in the system. So now we will continue to the next slide. So we have also introduced now, or let's say, available the purchase process because it was not really possible in the old solution. Now the purchase process can be handled with a fixed asset capitalization form or directly with a standard marketing document such as in goods received PO and AP invoice. You can also start with a purchase order, then you copy from your purchase order everything into your goods received PO, and later on you can pay, or let's say create the AP invoice based on the goods received PO to the system, and this will also create then the capitalization document. Important to know for the fixed asset purchase document is here, because the user can select and already create fixed asset master data in the purchase document. So that means you have created fixed asset master data on the financial module, and then you can just select it in the purchase document. But if it's required due to an internal process of a company that the user should create fixed asset master data directly from an AP document, the user default needs to be set accordingly. Because in the user default, we have the possibility to set here this tick box. We can allow creating fixed asset in marketing document. So if you have set this tick box for your user, and if the user wants to create a new master record from a purchase document, a pop-up will come up and ask the user if the user wants to create an item or a fixed asset master data. The fixed asset capitalization works in this way that for an AP invoice or credit memo, the system will create in the background a capitalization or credit memo in the fixed asset module. So if you create an AP invoice for your fixed asset, the system will automatically create a capitalization document in the fixed asset module with the origin of your AP invoice. It always can be seen here at the top of the document. From the posting side, if you create an AP invoice, the system will create against the clearing account. And the clearing account will be then credited again in the background, and the actual value will be activated on the asset account. So next part I want to show you is the payment with cash discount. Because in the document settings, it needs to be defined if the cash discount shall have influence on the fixed asset value. In some cases, it's required that this cash discount should decrease the fixed asset value if you create a payment for an invoice. So that means if you are doing an outgoing payment for an invoice, which includes a fixed asset, the system will consider that and will create a credit memo of the capitalization of the fixed asset. In this example, we have here a total value of 200,033, but this is gross value, and was a net value of 200,000. Cash discount 3%. That means we have here credit memo of 6,000 on the fixed asset side, so that the value of the fixed asset will be decreased with 6,000 euro because we have paid less for it. So but it's only if you set this tick box. In some countries it's not allowed, in some countries it's allowed. So it's up to the user to set this settings if they can work this way or not. Then we have also new the asset transfer. Okay, the asset transfer, the standard one was available before. So at the beginning of a fiscal year, the value from a fixed asset can be moved to another fixed asset. This is this example. We have here an asset transfer. You transfer your fixed asset. It's a hi-fi for your car to the actual car. So you move the complete value from one asset to another, and the asset will be inactive. This is possible at the beginning of the year. And now we can also do an asset class transfer. With the version 9.0, it's possible to change during the year the asset class if no depreciation has been posted to the asset. This function can be used for asset under construction. That means you will post all your expenses against one fixed asset until it's finished. So, and then you will do the activation by changing the asset class in the background, and you will also change the GL account determination in the background by doing that. And at that time, you also will start with the depreciation. Then the next window is manual depreciation. That was also already available before. Because in SAP Business One, you can use depreciation types to automatically determine the planned depreciation for an asset in a particular fiscal year. But it may be necessary to do it manually, and therefore we have the manual depreciation. We can do here an ordinary depreciation or an unplanned depreciation, or maybe a special depreciation if you get some benefits from the government. But new here is the appreciation. The appreciation is to reverse an unplanned depreciation from a previous period. That means for a period which is already closed and where you cannot do any correction anymore. And this is a different scenario as we have with a write-up or a revaluation, because an appreciation can only be done up to the value which the asset would be worth today. So that's the thing, and you cannot do higher with the value as it would be today if you would have followed the original depreciation plan. And it's possible to choose here all depreciation areas for the manual depreciation, or you can also choose each of them to do it individually for each depreciation area. Then we have the depreciation run. The depreciation run will post all planned depreciation in financial accounting up to a specified date. And the depreciation run can be executed for each depreciation area. So if we look here, we have first the depreciation area and date selection. So you would select your depreciation area and date. Then you would press on preview. You would get a preview of the depreciation to be posted. And after executing, you will get then actually the depreciation result. And then you can link also directly to the journal entry of this posting. But I will show you that later as well in the system. Then we have the fixed asset revaluation, because this is then the different technique. Because before I mentioned the appreciation, but this is now the revaluation. And we have now here the revaluation is a technique used to revaluate a company's assets to take into account inflation or changes in the value since the asset were acquired, or to just to reflect the real market value we have today. You would also do that for each depreciation area separately, and you can also set up here a revaluation percentage. That means you select here all your fixed assets, and if you set here the revaluation percentage, the system will calculate automatically based on this percentage the new net book value. So if it's you have an inflation of 20% in the country, then you would increase your net book value by 1.2 by a factor 1.2, and you will have then here the new net book value, and you see also for reference purposes here the difference. But if this is not good enough, you can also do it individually line by line and for each asset directly here in the form. The percentage is just to help the user if they have a high number of fixed assets where they need to do a revaluation. Then they can do everything automatically at once. Then the retirement. In SAP Business One, you can retire the following ways. You can do a retirement through sales. You can do a retirement through scrapping, or complete or partial retirement. If an AR invoice was used for the sales, the system will create in the background a retirement document in the fixed asset module. It's the same concept as I showed you before with our AP document. That means you have here your AR invoice. In the background, we will create the retirement document. In the retirement, you will have then also the origin of the invoice at the top. So next point is our depreciation forecast. SAP Business One provides you with a depreciation forecast report to simulate and fix asset future depreciation. You can select here then as well your asset number, so you can do a report from asset to asset, or you do it by your balance sheet account, or you do a forecast by your depreciation area. and then you can create this kind of simulation for your fixed assets. The next report is the fixed asset history sheet. The fixed asset history sheet shows the actual value development for all fixed assets and is an appendix of the balance sheet. So this is actually the report you would need to have for legal references. And here you can also select by create a report by asset class, or by balance sheet account, or by your depreciation area. So, and the history sheet, as mentioned, can be run for each depreciation area separately. Here's a screen how the history sheet would look like, but I will also show that in the system a bit later. Then also new is the asset transaction report. The asset transaction report provides you with a list of all transactions relevant to fixed assets. You have then also the selection criteria for asset class, asset number, posting date from to, the same for the document date or asset value date. In addition, you can then select here the transaction type. That means if you want to have an acquisition list, then you can just deselect everything and just select here the acquisition and transaction type subsequent acquisition, and then you would get a list of all acquisitions you have done for the selected period. If the same would be if you want just to see what you have done on transfer. If you have done a full transfer, a partial transfer, or asset class transfer, you just select the three options, and then you will get a list of all your transfers you have done for the selected period, and so on. With this asset transaction report, you would really cover all the daily needs you will have as a fixed assets. So then this brings me to the product demo. So I will just switch. Okay, so we are here now on the main menu, and as I mentioned before, so the very first thing to do if you want to use fixed assets is here under the company details. And the resolution it's not so good today, but here you have then also the possibility to enable the fixed asset. So it's not activated automatically. You always need to do it by yourself, because we don't know if you really need to have a fixed asset. If it's not needed on customer side, then you just don't select it. There was a question in the morning session, because it's only one way. If you have enabled the fixed asset solution, there's no way back. Okay, then we have on the setup financials the new menu entry for the fixed asset setup. And here is then the option for the account determination, where you define then your different asset classes. And here you set all the accounts for your balance sheet account for the machines, or the acquisition clearing account, the revaluation reverse, and so on. And also here the account for ordinary depreciation, and so on. And if you're using a different area, like the same for machines IFRS, you need to set up completely different accounts for this area. Then the depreciation types, also just to go briefly through it. So I have set up here some accounts. I will just show you. Here we have a declining balance, and also the straight line period control. That's what I mentioned before. So it's like here set on individual, and you have here then also the possibility to set up a factor. But I will go in more detail in a bit later. Then we will have here our depreciation area. For here, our local GAAP, it's our main depreciation area. I have selected here direct postings, or I can create also indirect posting. It depends on the country. Then my additional area for cost accounting, my reference area as a derived area, and also here another one for IFRS, or maybe can set up another one for US GAAP or whatever I want. Then our asset classes. And the asset classes, so I can also set up as much asset classes as I want. And here for the machines, we have here the default attribute groups. So there's nothing really special. If I go to my vehicles, I have set up here a special attribute groups, and this you will find directly beneath the asset class. And here you can see I have created here some attributes which are connected to my asset class. And if I want to add some new fields here, because it's for cars, I can select here maybe a text field, and I just add a new attribute for, I don't know, maybe winter tires. And I want also to know, okay, do I have it here? No, it's not in. Here maybe, okay, to say, okay, the number of seats of the car, and okay, that's still the date. I want to know when this car was imported to the country, import date. So an update. So, and I just do a refresh. So now you can see this new fields are directly here. And if I want to have it somewhere else, I can also move it up. So I'll just move it up. So you can see I have moved it up now. And this is how I want to have it later on also in my system. Okay. Now I'm going to the financial module. If I go to the fixed asset master data, I will just pick already one existing master data. And here you see asset type is fixed assets. Then we have here our fixed asset tab. It's connected to our asset class. It's see here it's for vehicles. And the defaults are also then here for the depreciation parameters. That comes all from our asset class. I can define here then an asset group if I want, also depreciation group, set an inventory number, serial number. If I have a location, I can set up, select here location where the asset is supposed to be. If the asset has a technician assigned for maintenance, I can do that directly here because it's connected to our human resource module, and I have in here directly connected a technician for this machinery, or let's say for this fixed asset. In this car, it's a vehicle, and I can also then connect here an employee who is assigned to this vehicle, and so on. I can still change here my useful life and also my depreciation types because these were defaults given by this asset class. I have here then my values for the value at the beginning of the year, what was the ordinary depreciation, and what is the value at the end of the year. And also if I would have done a transfer, this would be seen here, and also unplanned depreciation. And a bit more in detail, I can see it here. Here you can see I have only planned depreciation because I haven't done any depreciation right now. I can also see here the value development for another area, because here you can see this is for local GAAP, and now for IFRS I have chosen a different calculation basis because it's here only 48 months, and here you can see that the value will be higher than for the local GAAP. I can set up here also for a time period assign projects, or I can also assign distribution rules to the fixed asset as well. The attributes, what I just showed you before in the setup, are now visible here. And here you can also see the order, because here you see then also the number of seats. I have moved it up when I created it. And I have here also my import date. And if I create here, let's say just for example, a new asset, and go to the attributes, don't know why it's not, okay, it cannot be because I have not assigned an asset class. So I will select here the vehicles, and now you can see even the all the values are defaulted directly here, so that I can just have an easier life to complete the data if needed. So it's also up to the user. So next, I want to give you a short introduction of the purchase of an asset. It can be done directly in the fixed asset module with the capitalization document, but if you want to use here an AP document, I will select here my vendor. I will select my fixed asset. I can select one of those, or I can just create a new one. And as I mentioned before, the user needs to decide now, okay, do you want to create an item or a fixed asset, because it's a regular purchase document. So the system needs to know what needs to be created. The default is here is an item, but now I will select asset, and now I will create here my fixed asset. Just say, okay, I will just simply create an Audi A6, another car, to make it easier. I'll just select my asset class, and I will add this. Now I will add here my unit price. It's maybe 50,000. My posting date, I will select the 1st of January 2013. And just going here to the accounting tab, because if the asset value date, so the activation date in the fixed asset, is a different one as the posting date, and you know that already at this stage, then you can change here the asset value date without going to the fixed asset. So, and we'll just add this one. Operation completed. Just go back. So from the accounting, my general remarks, you can see the activation was done against the clearing account. If I go now to my financial module and go to fixed asset and fixed asset capitalization, just go to the last document, and here you can see Audi A6 has created this document with this value. And on the accounting tab, if I go to my journal entry, you see it was now activated. The clearing account has been credited, and here we have now activated the value to our actual fixed asset account. So this was the actual purchase and activation, and now I'm going to pay. So if I'm going to outgoing payments, so I select my vendor. I just need to select the right date, because it was done in, need to be the 10th of January 2013. Okay. And here we go. Here you see, it's my document. We have here 3% discount. If I go to the payment, I will just simply pay now against the cash account. So I will create the payment. Okay, I will edit. Just go back. So the payment was done with 3% cash discount. Just have a look to the relationship map. So in the relationship map, you can see now we had an AP invoice. The AP invoice was creating the capitalization document with 50,000. Then we had an outgoing payment, and we have now a credit note. For 3% of 50,000 are 1,500. If I go here to my capitalization document, you can see system has now created the background this document, and also again the same. Here the origin is the actual payment document. You can see here the origin and the origin number. It's payment number 54. If I go to my fixed asset, just link to my fixed asset master data, and here we can see the acquisition and production costs are not 50,000. It has been decreased by 1,500. So the basis was actually lowered due to the fact that we have paid it by cash discount. Okay, we'll just close my windows. So next one, I will just go very briefly to the other document types. Yes, okay, we have the retirement. It works in the same way. You can also create a retirement on the AR side. Then we have our transfer document, and the transfer means you would select here your fixed asset, and then you can move the value from one fixed asset to your target fixed asset. But this is only possible to at the 1st of January, because this is only due, or it's supposed to be done if you have done a mistake in the previous year or so. But what you can do now is also do an asset class transfer. So that means this fixed asset can be transferred from the asset class is now vehicles, and then you can say, okay, what is the target asset class? And you can say, okay, it's finished, and I will post it to machinery. Okay, in this example, of course, doesn't make sense. It's supposed that you have it first on the asset under construction, and if it's finished, then you would transfer it from asset under construction to machinery or whatever. Okay, so the next one is the manual depreciation. I mentioned before, you can do here a manual ordinary depreciation or an unplanned special depreciation or appreciation. And the next one would be the depreciation run. So here you can see for this year we actually haven't done any depreciation yet. So you select here your depreciation area. Then you would select your period until when you want to do the posting. I will select here the second period, so that means the 28th of February. I will create a preview, and the preview will show me the planned ordinary depreciation for this run, and then I can execute. If I execute, okay, it's again a system message if I really want to do that. And now I have created the depreciation run and the postings. Here you can see, because it was summarized here for all machineries, and then I can have a look that you have then one posting for all of them. If I go now to my fixed asset here, the one we have seen before, I just go to my fixed asset data, and here for the value. And here you can see we have the first period, planned depreciation 666. We haven't posted anything in January, but we have posted in February for both months. So we have posted here the depreciation, and it was an automatic depreciation. If we would have used the manual depreciation, we would see it here in this column, that the user can distinguish what was done manually or what was done automatically. Okay, we'll just close that. So the next is the asset revaluation. So in the asset revaluation, I also select again here my depreciation area. Let's say I will do it only for IFRS, because my local GAAP doesn't allow me to do this revaluation. So I select maybe one fixed asset, or I can also select all of them. So I have now here listed all my fixed assets. And if I now go into the revaluation percentage and I want to increase it by maybe 10%, then I write 110%. So you can see here it's your net book value, and this would be the new net book value. And here's the difference from the actual net book value and the new net book value. And you would also be able, in special cases, if this is not enough for the increase, you can also say, okay, for machine number 1, I want to increase it to 200,000. So this is also possible. So then you have here also the, it would be now 120.72%. So what I will cancel that right now. Okay, then we are going to the fixed asset reports. So we have then, as I showed you before, we have depreciation forecast, just to see what would be the possible value development, that you just have a preview. But more important is really the asset history sheet. So you select here then by asset class, or you can do it for all of your asset at once. You select then also here the posting period. So it's from 2. And you do it also for each depreciation area separately. Okay, this is a preview of our fixed asset history sheet. In version 9.0, we have actually added new fields to the fixed asset history sheet. In the form settings, you can then add or exclude fields you don't want to see because it's a lot of information and sometimes it's just simply too much. And the bookkeeper just want to have a certain number of fields on the screen, which are important for them. So you can then also select here the fields you really need to have for the fixed asset history sheet. For the printing, we have included crystal reports for the asset history sheet, and then you can also create, if you need to know, because in Crystal it's quite easy to exclude and maybe some fields you wouldn't need for the report, then you can just go and change the layout in the background. But from the system, we will deliver one Crystal layout so that it's then available for you. And okay, then we have here an asset status report that you can see what is the status of my assets. So what are the new fixed assets in the system? What is active or what is inactive? Let's see if I have inactive assets. Yeah, I have 2 inactive fixed assets in my system. And if I go back, do I have some new fixed assets? Let's see. Okay, I have also created here some new fixed assets which are not activated yet. It doesn't mean that these assets are new, that I have purchased them this year. That means I have created a fixed asset master data, but this fixed asset master data hasn't been activated yet. So if I go here, you can see the fixed asset, it's still not active. So you can still change it or still change the asset class. So this is then the status report, which shows you where you might need to do some work on your fixed assets. And at the end, our transaction report. So I will just go here and just show what I meant. Okay, you have here your acquisition, subsequent acquisition, and then you select, okay, basically everything was done with an acquisition in my system. So I will just close it, just do it again. But here is then you can also do it for a transfer. If you have done some transfers, we'll should have something here. Yeah, here you can see that I have done also an asset class transfer, also a full transfer in my system. So you can then report on each and everything regarding your fixed asset in the system. So that's basically everything from my side. So operator, I would be ready for questions.